Hello everyone, we are Group 16 and our program is called Free from STDs.
The goal of our program is to reduce the incidence of STDs among young adults in San Diego between the age of 18 to 25 by providing sexual health education to those with little access to such programs. We hope to empower young adults to make smarter and healthier decisions regarding sexual health and improve their overall reproductive health and wellness.
Some of the questions that we asked in our evaluation questions, one of them was a univariate and it says, what percentage of participants reported an increase in the frequency of condom use after participating in our study? The other univariate question was, what was the change in the STD incidence rate among the participants in our program over time? The other question that we asked was a bivariant, and it asked, is there a difference between the incidence rate of the control group and the experimental group? We also tested the null hypothesis, which measures if there is an observed difference in the incidence rate between groups. And we tested our alternative hypothesis, which tests if there is a difference in incidence rates between groups.
We use the health belief model as a framework for our program. We seek to modify personal perceptions of susceptibility and severity while also taking into account modifying factors such as socioeconomic status that contribute directly to the perceived threat of disease, which can then influence the likelihood of condom use. Our main independent variable is whether or not the subject participated in our program, and the measurable dependent variables are as listed. STD incidence, knowledge of contraception and safer sex practices, perceived susceptibility and perceived severity of getting an STD, and the frequency of condom use.
We use an experimental time series for our program. We will have 2 control groups and 2 intervention groups, both equal in size. Participants will be placed randomly in one of the groups. At different times during our program, different measurements will be taken. For example, during Observation 1, we will take baseline data of everyone, which will include an STD panel test. During Observation 2, we will gather data which reevaluates knowledge, severity, and susceptibility post-intervention. Observation 3 and 4 will only consist of an STD panel. Finally, Observation 5 will consist of an STD panel and reevaluation surveys.
A study by the National Institute of Health showed strong support for the 27-question STD Knowledge Questionnaire to measure young adults' knowledge of the 6 most common STDs. There was also the HIV KQ45, which is a 45-item questionnaire that includes questions pertaining to the participant's knowledge of condom use. We integrated the 2 questionnaires to fit our needs for pre- and post-test assessment.
The table shown here is only a portion of our sample set of the 500 participants that we had in our study. It is presented here to show the different categories that we used in our evaluation, and the data is not necessarily representative of the whole. This chart shows the central tendency as well as the standard deviations and t-test results associated with our data. Every t-test value pertinent to change is so small that there is next to no probability that the differences between the control group and the experimental group could have happened by chance. T-tests were also performed on the baseline values to ensure that the control and experimental groups were basically equivalent. And the boxes shown in green are some of the most significant values that we calculated during our study. Here we have some graphical representations of our data, and it can be seen that there is a significant increase in perceived susceptibility and severity among the experimental group after participation in our program. Additionally, these graphs indicate similar improvement. You can see an increase in average post-test scores as well as condom use in the experimental group compared to the control group, and a drastic decrease in average incidence in STDs in the experimental group, while there was only a slight decrease in the control group.
The limitations of our evaluation process are based upon possible flaws in our design. Reporting bias, self-report issues, and low literacy may play a role in affecting our knowledge survey reports. For example, Low literacy levels may have caused some errors in accurately gauging knowledge. Language barriers would also be a limitation because for many people with low socioeconomic status in San Diego, English is a second language. It may be difficult for them to correctly answer the survey. Also, participants may be unwilling to truthfully answer the questions and may choose answers they think we want to see. Scenarios such as these may affect our results. Based upon the results of our study, our intervention worked. This is supported by the values of the t-test we performed, enabling us to reject our null hypothesis. We can conclude that there was indeed a significant increase in condom use, perceived susceptibility and perceived severity, and a corresponding decrease in STDs among the experimental group.